Endophoric reference and exophoric reference. Endophoric reference and exophoric reference are the two main types of references. References are words that point to or indicate person, place, time, object, etc. They are important aspects of pragmatics, as you would see in the preceding sections. Endophoric reference is a type of reference that exists within a text. That is, a type of reference in which both the referent, the element that points to an entity, and the reference, the entity being pointed at, are deductible from a text. There are two types of endophoric reference, namely, Anaphoric reference, and Cataphoric reference. Anaphoric reference is a type of endophoric reference in which the referent refers backward. That is, in Anaphoric reference, the element in a text that points to a reference appears after the reference in the same text. Here is an example to illustrate this. Mark is too proud, he doesn't listen to anyone. In the example above, he is a referent because it points to an entity. The entity it points to is Mark, and it appears after the object it points to. In other words, it refers backward since the object of reference appears before it. Anaphoric reference basically reiterate the entities they represent which have already been presented in the preceding part of a text. Other examples of anaphoric reference include, the teacher saw it, she saw you bully that kid. Bankers must be honest, they can't afford to abscond with people's honest earnings. Sheila cooks good food, she will make a good mother. Cataphoric reference is a type of endophoric reference in which the referents refer forward. Unlike in anaphoric reference, cataphoric reference point to entities that are introduced later in a text. Here is an example to illustrate this point. He watches too much anime, John should start taking his life serious. From the example above, he is a referent and the entity it points to is John, however, it appears before its object of reference in the text. You can think of cataphoric reference as forerunners that set the stage for their references by appearing before them in a text. Other examples include, they can handle it, the Nips know their job very well. It was a catastrophe, the party turned out bad. She saw it coming, Martha knew he wouldn't like the present. Exophoric reference is a type of reference that points to entities outside a text. That is, a type of reference that points to elements that are not recoverable from a text but from a physical environment. Unlike endophoric reference that has its referent pointing to an entity that is also present in the text, exophoric reference points to an entity that can only be deduced from the context or environment in which a conversation takes place. Take for instance, that is where I used to live before I moved to the States. From the example above, you would figure that the entity which that points to is not present in the text, and such we cannot determine the reference of that by limiting our analysis to the contents of the text. Hence, to deduce the reference, we would have to consider the context in which the utterance was produced and the immediate environment. Usually, you will have to observe the gesture of the speaker, especially where they point to or motion towards, to be able to understand the entity their reference indicates. Other examples of exophoric reference included, there it is. This is what you asked for. Those are not your standards. That is your place. So endophoric and exophoric reference are types of reference with unique distinguishing features. Endophoric reference points to an entity within a text, while exophoric reference points to an entity outside a text that can only be deduced from the context or immediate environment in which the text was produced. See you soon.